Peace Collective. Today we are talking about evil spirits, malevolent spirits, okay? And this is an experience that I had last night. The reason why we are addressing this is because there are a lot of you that are moving into new timelines. And in this, there is a desperation in these spirits trying to keep you in a disempowered state. And they're trying to use fear, they're trying to use anger, they're trying to feed. So, let's get right into my experience last night. So last night, I get out the shower and I go to the kitchen for something. I can't remember, but it wasn't even necessary for me to go to the kitchen. I was told to not leave the room and to, I'm like, I'm not scared of nothing. I'm going to the kitchen, right? I go into the living room and I'm being told by my spirit, my team, you're being watched. I'm like, okay, like it's not the first time. As a shaman, I'm used to these experiences, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna give it no fear. So I go back into the bathroom, to finish getting ready after my shower. When I tell you there was a live size being and it was behind my left shoulder. And I don't walk in fear. So this is not a reaction that I'm gonna give, but I see it. I see this being. And this being is giving very much male energy, right? Like if it was a man, and it looked gray. So it had like the shape of a human head, right? And it was grayish, like no color, like it was very dark, like it was lifeless, right? Very vampiric. And it had eyes. What was very, I don't want to say scary, right? Because again, not scared. But what was creepy looking was the mouth. It looked like a leech. It looked like, very ragged, sharp edged teeth. And it stood behind me. And so when the spirit stood behind me, I'm like, okay. So I know I'm divinely protected, right? So I don't give it no fear. But I just call on the archangels. And I want to sit here and say, if you're going through something and you feel like you need protection, you can always call on the archangels. I called, not cut, I called on Archangel Uriel to clear the space energetically. And I called on Archangel Michael to cut any cords, right? And so I went into, this state of vigilance, not, again, off of fear or anything like that. It was because I've experienced things trying to mess with me. And one thing is, you're not going to catch me. Not in a weak moment. It's not. And if I'm aware that something's around, I'm going to stay vigilant to fight that, to protect myself as well. So what's crazy is that the thing introduced itself to me the day before, but it didn't give a face. It didn't show itself. I remember doing this deep cleansing because I do, a cleansing every week, weekly cleanse. And I'm doing my affirmations, excuse me. After cleansing, I'm tired. I mean, I do a deep heavy duty weekly cleanse, and I'm getting everything that I can, dusting, sweeping, mopping, vacuuming, all of this, okay? Scrubbing, every single thing. So I'm laying down before, yesterday before making dinner, tired. And all of a sudden, I'm doing my, these affirmations, and a thing comes and whispers in my ear, I am evil. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, I know I'm not evil. You might be evil, whatever you whispered in my ear, or whoever whispered in my ear. And again, I just, I went about my day. Didn't pay no mind. But I realized something started happening with my vision at that particular point in time. It was like this kind of like gray hue, right? Started to come over my eyes. And I'm not trying to say any of this to scare anyone, first and foremost. I want to bring awareness to people that when you are doing the work, right? And the spiritual journey is a beautiful journey, and I would recommend any and everyone to go through this journey. There is, and it's a violation for them to try to come in, okay, and scare you, or feed off of you, or try to, you know, um, use you as an energy source, as the next meal, but these things do have to reveal themselves. So, in it revealing itself, it was looking to see if I was a candidate. See, I know my life is changing, and I know that I'm at the precipice, right? Not even, I'm at the door. The door has already been opened for me into my new life. And there's energies that are not going to want someone who's moving into their new life to leave because they could no longer use them or try to even use them as any fuel source, whatever agenda that they have. So if you're experiencing something, and I want to address the fact that if you're sensing something, right, whether you sense evil, whether you see it, whether you feel it, okay, pay attention to that. When this journey first started for me, I could not see it, but I knew, like, let's say, like, you sense something in the dark, and you just pause for a moment because you're like, I know that there's something there. Believe that feeling, okay? I had that feeling, and I could sense that something, you know, was like lurking, right? Also, if you have like your mirrors exposed to you while you sleep, please cover them or turn them around. This isn't, mirrors are also portals, right? Things where they can, I'm gonna say portals, but this is where, maybe that's not the right word, but this is where spirits can come through, right? Trickster spirits to try to feed on you. Those that work with you and walk with you don't need to use a mirror, okay, to get to you. Um, So, anyways, the spirit, I could just feel it lingering around, but I knew I had my divine protection. I knew angelics were around, the archangels doing their things, and much props to them. Don't walk in fear, but understand that if you are experiencing something that is out of this reality, right, of what you've known to be true, that can be scary, you know? That's what these beings are looking for. They're looking for fear, they're looking for a reaction of anger. I gave it none of that. I just went on with my day because I know I'm divinely protected. Now, there is wisdom in doing, spiritual cleansing work. There is, wisdom in using tools like, Florida water. One thing that I want to sit here and address, however, is that if there's a lot of darkness in a particular spot in your life, right? Whether it's like due from trauma and things like that, because they use all of this, you have to add light, right? These spiritual baths, the spiritual cleansings, all of this is important in the journey. You're adding light to a place that's been very dark, that was missing light. This is where they've attached. This is where they, learn to feed off of you. This is where they learn to kind of block your roads. The more light that you're putting there, this is creating an environment where they can't sustain, they can't survive. Okay. And if something is bold enough to show itself to you, to try to grab you, if you can sense it, okay. But more so bold enough from the visual aspect or even trying to touch you, that means that there is one, you need to instill your your team to do work for you. This means that you need to put more light in those areas. Okay, you need to work on your willpower. um they may look scary, my dear, they are weak. Anything that is coming to try to feed off of you, anything that is coming to try to scare you or get a reaction out of you or piss you off or create a particular outcome in your energetic field, is weak, and it's using you or trying to use you because you have a beautiful bright light. Understand that. And this is all I really wanted to say. It's time to protect yourself as you are moving into different stages and phases of your life. They're not going to be happy with this. Don't give them anger, don't give them fear. It's a bully being a bully and showing you that it's a bully. There was another one that tried to pop up last night in a vision, right? They was just this one was a female, and she kept the mouth closed at first, trying to disguise, but the face still was, even though it was like a human shaped face, it wasn't fully human. And there was like these kind of like wet, greasy curls that were, sparse. It wasn't even. So she tried it. I think she tried to open up her mouth, and my team went, wow. Like literally, like it was, you think of like a baseball. It was my team, one of my guardians, or maybe a version of myself. Okay. All I know that it was like this big, husky baseball. Okay. Kind of like the show The Walking Dead, and then they use that to, to knock off the zombies. It was exactly like that with like spikes, barbed wire on it, visually. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay. And she just got knocked into another life because ain't no way somebody gonna survive that as hard and as fast as it came. So, anyways, yeah, that was my experience, and this is what I do, y'all. I mean, I do a whole lot more as a shaman, okay, but understand that as a shaman, we're prepared to deal with what tries to come from the other side and what tries to be scary. No, it's not. We've been given the tool set, and we also know that we serve a God that's much greater. And in our relationship with the all that it's all, through nature, through elements and things like that, there's no way that we're going to let some lower vibrational filth, because that's exactly what it is, try to come into our energetic field and play in our faces. We know our power, and it's time you know yours too. Okay. So hold on to your light, hold on to your truth, and know that they can't mess with you. Energetic, cleansing is very important. You can always call on Archangel Uriel. I don't care how many times you feel like you need to do it to feel safe. Archangel Uriel will clear the space. If they're trying to mess with you, just be like, hey, you want to square up with Archangel Michael? Call on Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael will cut any cords if you feel that this is, attached to a particular person, and it probably is. Call on Archangel Michael to cut the cords. I'm already um sensing like this to me is just hurting my heart right now, like even speaking on it, because I don't feel like people should have to be battling things on this level. But this is the truth of the journey. This is the truth of reclaiming your sovereignty, is that there are going to be things that don't want you to be free. There are going to be things that want to keep you in a disempowered state because they want to keep using you as energy fuel sources. And are you going to lay down and let something just use you, or are you going to rise to your sovereignty and your power and the all that is all and claim your spot, claim what's yours, claim your blessings, claim your birthright? The only reason why they're coming at you in the way that they are is because they know that you're abundant. It's because they know that you're light. They haven't realized, their own truth. And in time they will. So, y'all, thank you for listening to this message. I just felt like it was a public service announcement that needed to be done. And so it's done. Take care, y'all, from me in spirit. Peace.